Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to look at complex case logic. Keeping up with our outline, we have already completed part 1 of this module, if then what, and you are in part 2 of this module, get off my case, complex conditional logic. Sometimes we don't have scenarios where we only want A or B options. Sometimes we want to have multiple different criteria. Suppose we have this data here and it has the day of the week, and we want 3 different buckets. We want to say Saturday, Sunday, or weekday. If I tried to do that with my if-then logic, my brain would start melting out of my ears because I can only say either your Saturday or your Sunday, or I could say your Saturday or your weekday. I won't be able to make the 3 different buckets. When you have multiple criteria, you want to use a case statement. If you have a single criteria, you can use case or if, dealer's choice. So as always, we start our conditional logic with a case. We say when our day equals 7, then I want it to be Saturday. Saturday is the last day of the week. Now I just start over. When my day equals 1, I want it to be equal to Sunday. And if it's not equal to 1 or 7, then I just want it to say weekday. That's my catch-all. And then ends the logic. So this is what it would look like in BigQuery. We have select, day of the week, case, when day of the week equals 7, then Saturday, when day of the week equals 1, then Sunday, otherwise weekday, end as day category from our table. This is a formatting tip that I have for the case statements, and it's really, really important that you stick to this. When you're starting off with easy logic, you might put it all in one line and you're like, whatever, not a big deal. This conditional logic gets out of hand very, very quickly. If you don't have your formatting right, you're going to get lost in the sauce. So it's very important that you have your things lined up and you know what to expect when you're reading your code. So my formatting tip is your case and your end should be lined up. This is the start, this is the end. They're like your parents, mama and papa, and they're right in line. Our whens and our else, they're indented one line in and they're all lined up. And then our thens are also lined up. And if you keep your formatting like this, it's going to save you a lot of time debugging and proofing your code. Okay, now that we've reviewed at a high level what this looks like, let's open up our BigQuery browser and do some of this complex code together. In this example that I have for us, we're going to use extract and case function to create a column called day category with Sunday, Saturday, and weekday. This is the exact same thing that we went over in the PowerPoint. So let's go ahead and pull up select from our table. And what we want is something that has the date and the time. If I look at my table, typically whenever we've been doing stuff with dates, we've been using the drop-off date time. So I'm going to select drop-off date time, and we're just going to limit 10. And here we go. I have a bunch of different dates and times. Well, I don't want this. I don't want the timestamp. I don't want all that stuff. I just want it to say, was this day a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday? So in order to do that, I'm going to have to use my extract function. And we haven't done this weekday extract function before. So if I was asked to do this and I didn't know how to do it, I would just say into Google, how to pull out the weekday from a timestamp BigQuery. And then here we go, we have date functions. This is something that we've looked at before. And I see here under extract, we have our part from our date, and we have a day of week value. And this returns a value in the range of 1 to 7, with Sunday as the first day of the week. So it looks like this is what I want. Extract day of week from my date time. So let's try that. So we're going to do extract day of week from my drop-off date time as weekday. And this is perfect. I can see that I have values between 1 and 7. I don't know that I have every single one of them because I didn't do distinct, and I have some duplicates in here. You can see I have a 5 and a 5 and 2 4s. So let's do distinct, get rid of our duplicates, and make sure that we have one of each day that we want. Perfect. So I have 7 rows and 7 days of the week. Excellent. So now that I have a function that will convert my date time into the week day, now I can use this case statement. So what I want to do is I want to say when my weekday is equal to 7, then I want to be Saturday. And if it's equal to 1, I want to be Sunday, otherwise a weekday. So to do that, we always start our logic off with case. Case. When what? When this whole crazy thing that we just came up with, when this thing equals 7, then Saturday. When that crazy thing equals 1, then Sunday. Else, if it's not equal to Saturday or Sunday, then I want it to say weekday. End as day type. And let's run this. Okay, great. So I see that I have Saturday, I have Sunday, and I have all these weekdays in between. Perfect. But I don't want to show all these different weekdays. I just want to have a Saturday, a weekday, and a Sunday. Why is that? Well, that's because I want to use the query from 1 and find the total passengers and fare amounts for each day category. And so how we have our stuff worked out here is that we actually have our day types repeated because of the 4, 2, 5, 6, and 3. So to get rid of these duplicates, what we want to do is we want to cut off our weekday column, get rid of you, and then do a select distinct for our day type. So let's go ahead and get rid of our weekday. Let's get rid of this comma here. Okay. Perfect. So now I have Sunday, weekday, and Saturday. So now that I have my unique day types, the next thing that I want to do is I want to find the total number of passengers and fare amounts for each of these. To do that is simple. We want to do sum fare amount as total fare and sum passenger count as total passengers. And I'm immediately going to get an error here because I'm doing an aggregate function, sum, but I don't have a group by paired with it. So let's go ahead and add that in. Group by 1. Now, if I try to do group by day type, that could also work too. So we can do it by group by day type or group by 1, either way. Okay, perfect. So now I have my total passengers and my total fare, and I have these really big numbers, and they're really hard for me to know what the values are because we don't have any commas or any formatting, and it's kind of messy. So I had a bonus question in here, and it said research the format function and use that to display total fare with commas and 2 decimal places, and then display total passengers using commas. And then the hint was to look at Google BigQuery format function. Okay, so let's go ahead and Google the format function. So if we do format function BigQuery, let's see, I have string functions. Now something to keep in mind is that you can format with dates. BigQuery has a whole page on that, and then we also have format with strings. So looking at formats with strings, all we have to do is scroll down and we see format, formats data and produces the results as a string value. Okay, so it can contain 0 or other formatting things, and then it gives you some examples. So if I wanted a simple integer, I would use this, and it would give me a 10. I see if I want integers with commas, this is what I need. I need to do this formula. So let's just copy and paste. Okay, so this format works for integers. I'm looking at my numbers here and I see total fare is in dollars and cents. It's not an integer. So I can't use this format function for this guy. I can only use it for passengers. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I want to do is I want to wrap this sum passenger count. I want to wrap it in this format. So we're going to do format, and then I'm just going to copy paste this guy, stick him right in here, comma, close it out, and let's try to run it. Okay, and so I can see with the commas, it's a lot easier to look at these numbers and make sense of it versus the total fare. It's really hard to look at. Okay, so now that I figured out how to do format for whole numbers, now I need to go back and figure out how to do it for floats or decimal numbers. So if I go back here, let's see. So it doesn't give me an exact way to do it. What I can tell you is that this D, this stands for digit, and then we want to flip it into an F, which stands for float. So we didn't have as good of luck finding out how to do this for our floats like we did for our whole numbers. I'm just going to give you the shortcut on how to do it. I think how I found this is I found it on a Stack Overflow and someone had the exact code that I needed. So we're going to do format, quotation, parentheses, the little thing, the little single quotation, dot to F, quote, close quotations, comma. Okay. And so what this is going to do, this is code that's going to give me the comma. That's what that little single quotation mark means. And then instead of being a digit, a whole number, it's going to be 0.2F, so 2 decimal place floats. So let's do it. Okay, here we go. And so we can see now we have with our float, we have the commas and we have the decimal point. And then for our whole numbers, we have the nice pretty commas for us. So this format thing, this might feel a little bit tricky. We didn't go over it in a lot of detail. I just kind of threw that out at you. And these are just bonus things. This is just a vanity point. If you don't fully understand the format and it doesn't feel good, don't worry about it. Just save the code. And as you keep getting some practice, it's going to make more sense. And at the end of the day, when we're talking about numbers, it doesn't matter if there's the comma there or not. That's just something that's a little extra. All right, so let's jump back to our PowerPoint and wrap up this lesson. In today's lesson, we learned how to use multiple conditions using case logic. We found out that you can use multiple whens within your same case statement to create multiple buckets or rules. You can also use the new column that you just created with your case statement in an aggregate function right away. So you don't have to wait or do anything else. You can use it immediately to start doing some sums and averages. And then we also introduced how to format our output so that it looks a little prettier and easier for us to read. In the last lesson in this module, we're going to round this out, giving you some practice on your own case statements. See you then. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I would be so appreciative if you could like the video and subscribe to help me create more content for you. Thank you.